This episode of Meat Unshackled is focusing on updating you about what's going on in the Mexico market. It's exciting to me because ever since I've been in cannabis, I've been dreaming of one day growing flower in the mountains of Mexico and doing it legally. Of course, it's being done in a quasi-legal capacity right now. And, one day you're going to have the big brands of the California, American cannabis market migrate down into Mexico. And that's going to be an exciting thing. It's going to be really cool. Lots of business opportunities, but we have hurdles to get through until we get there. And I know we have the person on the panel right now who is an absolute expert in that. And two individuals who represent other parts of Latin America and Mexico. And of course, is a branding expert himself. So I'm going to let them introduce themselves first and what they do. And then we're going to get into some questions.
Nicolas Marsiglia. I'm based in Bogota, Colombia, and currently I buy Colombian flower for Swiss companies.
Colombian flower for Swiss companies.
Yes,
and
sir.
then you ship it to Switzerland.
Yes.
Legally.
Yes.
What do you do illegally? I'm just kidding. One more time. Fernando.
Hey there. Fernando Garcia, based in Arizona. Happy to be here. Thanks to meet you. What I do is brand consulting and wholesale consulting. So our business can do anything a brand needs to get into or out of Arizona, operate, sales, the whole 9 yards. Here is Mariana.
Thank you very much, Dimitri, for the invitation. Also to all your great team that makes possible this podcast. And my name is Mariana Larrea. I'm a life sciences and healthcare attorney. And I work in the Mexican space helping international brands to understand the Mexican market, the Mexican laws, and how we can expand brands in Mexico, of course, and Latin America.
Okay, so the big question is, what is I own a company in, let's just say California, and it's called, I was trying to think of a clever name. Let's just do Jeter. I got Jeter, okay? And I want to move down into Mexico.
Yeah.
Say, what the heck is going on in Mexico? They tried to get me to invest 6-7 years ago. I had to deal with the COFER-Priest licensing system. Those were real, not real, revoked, not revoked. It's absolute madness. There's amparos. Give us a little bit of a breakdown of the current status and not where it's going to go next. That's the next question, but the current status, a little bit about the history.
So since 2017, when those authorizations were granted, that was in 2018, in Mexico, cannabis is legal. We have a full regulation for medical cannabis. We are one of the only countries in the world that can manufacture medical cannabis for local and for exportation. We are allowed to export all products containing cannabinoids with no more than 1% of THC.
Right.
This means edibles, beverage, food, cosmetics, supplements, all products containing cannabinoids. The only things we need to prove is industrial purposes. The unique thing we can't do in Mexico now is a market for recreational cannabis. Okay. So if your brand is focused in wellness, industrial hemp, cosmetics, and all those industries, you're really good to come into the Mexican market. Those brands that are focused in the recreational side, the option will be to start building a brand in order to capture a public and start educating, because education is one of the first things we need to do when we're thinking about building a brand.
So the good stuff's not legal. Just kidding.
It's legal, yes.
No, so Jeter wouldn't be able to come in.
Who?
Like, for example, his brands.
So, for example, I think a brand like Jeter would have to develop something to really get into that market, start building not just loyalty, right, but also recognition. And there is a lot of recognition already from those big brands, right? That's what everyone's excited about, right? The good stuff, like you said. That's what's not legal yet. However, there's still an appetite for it.
Absolutely.
There's obviously, the good old black market that's existed for a long time. However, it seems like brands, whether it's this is really why brands need to get on top of it also, right? Whether it's fake packaging or whether it's some type of
Product
coming
from
going
San
into
Diego,
Mexico.
from-
Exactly. So the brand appetite already exists. I think people want those brands. However, if that brand wants to jump in the Mexican market right now, they would have to do something else.
Tropicalize, right?
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. Diversify.
Go ahead.
Yes. So tropicalize because this
Tropicalized.
tropicalize.
What's
Yes.
that?
Helping the brand to understand that what they have built in the States is really strong and powerful.
Okay.
But if you want to capture a new market, new consumers, you will need to be open to tropicalize your brand and make it in a way that you really can get to the Mexican consumers. And that part with education is one of the biggest challenges, because most of the clients, when they want to come into the Mexican market, they are only looking to sales, right? And where is the market? How many consumers are in Mexico? And we need to understand that when we are building brands in an emerging market, in a new country, we need to be open to tropicalize, to be changing different parts of your brand that will capture Mexican consumers and educate them the way they need to be educated, because we're talking about two different public, completely different.
Like right now, though, in Mexico, I know that you can buy like cookies and Jeters, either fake packaging or imported from Texas, not Texas, but New
California,
Mexico.
or-
New Mexico. There's a huge,
Oh yeah.
just past Juarez, there's a town there. There's like 40 dispensaries doing 500,000 plus a month each. It's all shipping south.
It's all shipping south or into Texas, right? So
Or
they
into Texas.
They have two big markets
Yes, absolutely, to Texas. But we know it's going south. Come on.
there. Yeah, we know it's going south also. What's really interesting too is going back into the fake packaging or illegal importation into Mexico, exportation into Mexico. There are cannabis clubs, right, based on the amparos that you were talking about, and that's how they sort of shield themselves. But that's how it's happening right now, right? Whether they're building fake packaging, whether they're getting it from here and bringing it down there. It's already happening with these cannabis clubs, right? For example, I was in Mexico City not too long ago, and I saw some products, some Jeters, for pretty pricey. You have to pay your pretty penny for it, but they're already down there in a certain way.
Did you make a profit on those?
No. They made a profit on me.
I was joking.
I
I'm
know,
implying
I know.
that you were taking them down there. Let's real quickly get over to Colombia real quickly, because that's another market. Colombia has, and the next question I want to ask you is about Delta 8, Delta 9, that stuff, and that loophole that's happening here. So
Yes.
Colombia has a legal market. I've been down there with you. I've seen 10 grows in Colombia, and there's all this product everywhere, and he's trying to get it to Europe. What's the status consumption-wise? It's got a weird nuance, right?
So in Colombia, you can produce and manufacture any kind of product as soon as you are exporting.
As high THC as you want,
Yeah, if you are exporting.
if you're exporting.
On the local market right now, so there is no recreational at all. That's still illegal. What you can do is products that will require a specific certificate, and so you will get like a kind of a FDA authorization for each product, and each brand has to get his own certificate for his product. That's for CBD products. For THC products, they will be considered like as a pharmaceutical. So you will get to another process even more strict.
But they have to be exported.
No, for these two ones, you can do local, but no recreational.
So the Colombian consumer has to have a script or a prescription.
Yeah, exactly. But if you are exporting, you can do any kind of product. That's only for the local.
Really?
There is no limit on the number of licenses, so anyone can get into Colombia to manufacture anything or produce anything.
It's interesting. So why are all the Colombian growers having some trouble right now?
It's mostly there is no local market to support them when they're beginning, so they have to go straight to international markets where the quality standards are very, very high. For example, Israel, Switzerland, Czech Republic, Australia.
And is that working?
It's starting to work now after years. because of matching all these standards. For example, in Switzerland, you have some companies that have been doing cannabis products for 10 years. So getting to their standard of quality it requires a lot of capital, and more than capital, it requires a lot of know-how.
So Mexico should not be learning anything from Colombia. Leave that to the side.
No.
That's a bigger mess than that. I mean, it just blows my mind. Colombia should all be all over, perfectly dominating the space. So that loophole, because I know any business person watching this thing is going to say, okay, so I can get away with hemp-derived cannabis here. Can I get away with that in Mexico?
So, as I
Can you
mentioned,
answer that question?
yes.
Okay, good.
Yes, the answer is yes.
Yes.
And
I like
as I
loophole.
mentioned before, all products containing cannabinoids with no more than 1% of THC is the first step. Second step, industrial purposes. The law doesn't recognize industrial purposes, but they are considered as all purposes regulated by the law which are not therapeutical or medical. Which products are these? Food, cosmetics, beverage, dietary supplements that can be imported with no more than 1% of THC. 1% of THC, speaking in a recreational talk, is a lot. You do not need even the 1% of THC in a final product. It's 1% in final product, not in a package. It's the final product. So the strategy I am implementing in Mexico in order to cover that risk of how these products have been manufactured is through the laboratories. In my firm, MLA Legal and Consulting Boutique, we work with a certified laboratory. This laboratory works to the Supreme Court in Mexico, and they, of course, these results they give us is the basis for our case in the trial. So what we do with these companies? We walk this company, we introduce the company with the Mexican authority, we explain COFEPRIS, these products doesn't contain more than 1% of THC, that are going to be used for not therapeutical, for industrial uses, and that those comply with secondary regulations, which are labeling and packaging. Therefore, COFEPRIS, of course, is going to say no, because they don't know and they don't understand us. And they were going to send us with a judge. And there is when the trial starts, when we can obtain the criteria of the authority establishing that this product doesn't need an special authorization. So, after this new president, Claudia Sheinbaum, first time in 5 years, we just obtained 2 weeks ago the first argument from COFEPRIS establishing that this product doesn't need any special authorization. Therefore, the obligation that we have as companies that try to go to a new market is to bring high quality products. Is the only thing we are asking, and that is why we're using the laboratories to prove that. So the strategy is really clear. It's not anything that we discover in the black. No. It's really easy. The point is anyone is doing it because they don't know how to do this. So this is my work, to come and tell this is a business in Mexico, it's possible, and the only thing we ask for those companies is to be compromised with the quality of those brands.
Okay, so I want to talk about the future about Colombia and the future of Mexico in a second. We'll speculate, but I want to know right now, could I go down to Oaxaca and get a acre of land, grow flower, wrap it up in pre-rolls, buy a machine, get it shipped down there, work with you? No.
Purpose? Recreational?
No, industrial.
Industrial?
Yeah, I mean, industrial, like, I don't know. No, this is what I want to do. I want to get 2 acres of land. I want to grow plants.
Hemp rolls? Hemp pre-rolls?
I'll call them hemp. I mean, they'll look like hemp. Then I'll roll them. I'll put Jeter, my own brand, on the outside and sell them. But they have to test under 1%.
It's interesting because we always think that the problem in Mexico will be the legal side. And in the legal perspective, that could be possible and legal and 100% viable. The challenge that we're going to find is more for the commercial and the operational side,
Right. Okay.
because you are going to make an activity that is first of all, you're going to be the first one in the country, so that will call the attention of authorities, and that will represent challenges that we can fight. Those challenges through a trial, we can, but are challenges. So investors doesn't love that part.
Does Mexico have any like large? Cozumel. We could do this on Cozumel. And they can get away quickly. You know, when the heat's on, I could take a boat.
Oh, yeah, just leave.
Just
Take
leave.
off.
Just leave.
I think the first way and the best way we can do this is using what we already have, these strategies for opening the market, and time by time the authority is going to understand better our industry and to be more flexible with what is happening.
So what do you tell the Jeters or the edible, the gummy lines and stuff? Where's the opportunity? What should they do? Call you, then what?
Yeah, like we should register those products before Cofepris. We should have an incorporated company in Mexico. They should follow the advertising rules that we are going to advise them to have, and start opening the market. We need to start opening the market because even consumers are not sure. We need to teach them, to educate them. So,
But sophisticated, but not the good products.
sorry?
Help me out here.
They're all good products, Dimitri.
They'll be good products.
They'll be good products.
Well, let's do it then.
I think what brands again need to be aware of is as of right now, again, what kind of purpose you put into it. What is your final goal? Because industrial can mean very different things, right? For example, if you're doing hempcrete, that's easy to do, right?
Yeah.
Because it's got a very there's no gray area of, oh, is this recreational or is this industrial? However, with a pre-roll, I think it's going to be tougher because by nature it's going to have more than 1%, right?
Yeah,
So
maybe.
but then where is the argument going to fall? With edibles, with beverages, the total weight of cannabis is very little, especially if you use a oil, right? So it ends up being less than 1%.
And will that still be the good
So
stuff?
exactly, it's all the good stuff. So you have to have
So beverages.
exactly. Depending what kind of brand there is here for the good stuff, we need to have the diversification, right? They need to either build new products, they need to find a way to build a brand. You know, Cookies did something very smart, which is they built their brand also on apparel. So people like Cookies to begin with, right? They just like the brand, even if they don't smoke their products.
Right.
Cookies is a good example.
That's another. So when go ahead, you want to comment? I have a question. When's Colombia going to change? What's happening next in Colombia? And then we're going to talk about. I want you to speculate about the future of Mexico.
So there is a bill that has been discussed at this point for like 4 or 5 years about making recreational legal. It's hard to give a time frame because every year they say that this year is a good one, but at some point it might pass. It will be similar to what we see in the United States, having like dispensaries and smoking places. And the other thing is more about like getting to the international quality.
Excellent. Mexico. What is going to happen next? And this president, what's she all about?
No, as I mentioned before, I am really positive about who she put in Cofepris, which is a Mexican FDA. And this recent criteria is the first one after 5 years fighting with them. That is good. Other thing is new recent change. They also changed the consumer permits. And even though they restrict those, I think it's a really good idea to do that because people was not cultivating in their houses and were using those permits for another market. So it's good that the authorities at least starting to consider and give us new arguments. Because as attorney, that is what I can navigate through litigation. So they are giving us new arguments, but with options. That is the difference. They are giving us options. So from medical side, we need rescheduling to happen because the money and the investment for pharma is in the States. And if rescheduling, or I will say descheduling should, but if rescheduling doesn't happen and banking laws doesn't change, investment will be stuck here and Mexico is not going to be able to use the pharma federal law. From the industrial side, all these products, minor cannabinoids, cosmetics, CBD, etc., the thing is going to continue as it is. You can go to COFEPRIS and register those. There are companies that are doing this in a legal side, in a correct side. There are companies that just come and buy everything in the luggage and bring it to Mexico. That is not going to change anytime soon. And in the recreational side, I really see a lot of consumers worried about cannabis clubs. And there is a legal strategy for those. So I am positive that more legal cannabis clubs are going to be open, mostly in Mexico City, Cancun, the touristic cities, Tulum, those cities where a lot of tourism is. And as my message tomorrow is my conference at 10:40, as I will say tomorrow, the United States really need to realize that the market is more than just here. And there are international factors and countries that are depending completely of the regulation in the States. So we really need rescheduling to happen in a good way for seeing not just Mexico, other markets, Netherlands, Spain, Germany, all those are with important medical cannabis things to do. So, but we need the states to start moving forward.
Absolutely. Sometimes I wonder, well, I was going to get into the America First thing, but that's not important. Look, if I'm going to do business in Mexico, I'm going to talk to one of you guys. You guys are absolutely wonderful, and your connections run deep in Mexico, and it's going to be a great market. There's 140 million people down there. 8 to 15 million of them live in California. And California has been recreational for like almost a decade now. And it's very, I have cousins and uncles asking all the time, when can we grow legally in Oaxaca and start doing goods and stuff? It's going to be really cool. If I'm doing business in Colombia, I'm reaching out to you, Nico. You're more wired in Colombia than anybody I know. And I know some people down there. So anyways, we really appreciate you guys having here. We're out of time. I encourage our audience to reach out to them. They're available. They're good people. And thank you for joining us on this episode of Meat Unshackled.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Appreciate the time.